can you look at someone's face, talk to them, and actually know what they're thinking? If you're asking that question right now, then hang with me for a few more minutes and I'm going to give you the answer to those questions. And by the way, my name's Dr. Rohan Weerasinghe. I've been teaching and speaking into the space of communication for the last 35 years. And one of the common questions that comes up is, can you actually really read someone's mind? Or is it just one of those things that people say they can do, but they can't really do it? So my personal perception on this is, every single human being has telltale signs. And there's lots of studies that have been done on this, and people talk about micro gestures and micro muscular movements in the face and breathing patterns, etc. And we all harbor inner secrets. So the minute you are asked a question or you're dialoguing with somebody else and you know that you're either not telling the truth or there's something about what you're saying isn't completely honest, there will be something in your whole physiology that will give that away. And so the truth about mind reading is more about reading someone's reaction and physical reaction and physiology to what you're asking them, rather than actually physically mind reading them. In other words, their thoughts are coming out in the air and you're going dig, 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 and you're reading those thoughts. It doesn't really work that way. So let me give you 3 things that I think will get you on this path to learning to read people's minds quicker. So the first one is this. Let me find this for you. And I've got this noted separately. I want to bring it up on the screen. Here we go. Questions. So people say to me, how is it in the middle of a conversation or when you're doing an intervention or a coaching session with somebody, you literally get to a point where they go, and you see their face change, and they go, how did you know that, Dr. Rowe? That's because I've learned to ask questions. And I've asked questions in such a way that it digs deep enough to get to, it's a bit like if there's a cut on your arm, if I'm prodding my shoulder here, I'm not really going to feel the pain. My body's not going to react to that. But if I keep prodding close enough to where the cut is, all of a sudden I'm going to pull away. My body will react to it. Questions are the same as the prodding. Questions are like the finger that's prodding close enough to where the pain is for the person to go ooh and twinge, and something shows up in their physiology. So one of the simplest things to do is simply start by asking baseline questions that are truthful questions to them, that they're going to answer in a way that's completely truthful. And then you can ask them a question which is completely out there as a tangent, or something that may be on the edge of not being a truth for them. And their response to that physiologically will be different to someone who's telling the truth and it is exactly the honest answer. So it's given away often through 2 things. Now, there's a whole bunch I can talk about. When I'm doing my CWI program, we actually pull people up. I ask questions and we get the audience to watch very specific movements and actions. But I've got limited time. So the first one is asking questions. Start to practice that. That's a great thing to do. The second thing is to watch the eyes. So when you ask a question, their eyes will go into different directions. They're called eye accessing cues. And basically what happens is when they're remembering something, their eyes go in one direction. When they're making something up, their eyes are likely to go in a different direction. It's not always the case. It might be something slightly different the way they behave, which is why you may need to go through a series of questions to understand what their baseline is before you then understand that they're going off that baseline behavior. But often the eyes are the things that give away. And you know this, if you've ever got children, for example, you ask them a question, they start doing this with their eyes, start looking all over the place. Often it's because they're trying to find a way to give you an answer that is the right answer that hides maybe the truth. Now, some people do it really obviously. Other people do it very, very subtly. And the subtlety can come often in the muscle movements. So that's the last one I want to give you here. And they could be muscle movements in the mouth, a tightening of the mouth, a change in the breathing, eye tightening here, maybe just a slight twinge in the muscles here. Hands give a lot of clues away as well. So if the muscle tension in the hands change during a question, often that's a clue that they're uncomfortable with something you've asked. So if they're relaxed, their hands might be in one direction. You ask a question and they put their hands together, or they tighten up, or they put their hands down, pushing down their thighs, for example. That might be an indication that they're trying to stay sort of grounded and protect themselves a little bit. So all these tiny little things start to come together to give us an indication that somebody is possibly lying or not, or maybe they're not being completely truthful about what they're telling us. So that's it. 3 key things. You can start practicing these now, working on these now. And remember to follow us, subscribe, get onto the Instagram page, and also follow us on YouTube. Dr. O signing out. I shall see you on the next post.